Today we're here to discuss the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act of 2019, which would extend the program. Since Congress first created the program in 2005, the program has enjoyed broad bipartisan support. We owe it to our dear friend, the late Senator George Voinovich from Ohio, and Ranking Member Carper for working together across the aisle to push for the creation of this program. The legislation we're discussing today would reauthorize the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act through fiscal year 2024. So I want to thank the ranking member and his entire staff for their leadership on this legislation over the years. I'm pleased to chair the second bipartisan legislative hearing on reducing emissions to address climate change in this committee in the last 2 weeks. Like the Use It Act, the focus of our last hearing, this legislation supports innovation-led solutions to environmental protection. Diesel engine emissions of particulate matter and nitrogen oxides are well known. We have all driven behind an older bus or tractor and experienced the exhaust. This program has gone a long way to reducing those emissions. States, localities, and private companies can use funds from this program to replace or upgrade diesel engines. These projects could reduce emissions or those pollutants by more than 90%. It's astonishing, more than 90%. From 2008 to 2016, these funded projects have reduced emissions of nitrogen oxides by more than 472,000 tons. And the program has reduced particulate matter by over 15,000 tons. These are big numbers, and these reductions help improve the air quality for local communities. The state of Wyoming has used these funds over the last few years to replace old diesel school buses. In fact, school buses have been a major focus of the funding of this project and this legislation. One of our witnesses today, Mr. Dale Kraft, has brought a state-of-the-art school bus to the EPA headquarters just last year. And I understand you've been working with Senator Inhofe for, you said, several decades.
That's right.
Go back a long time. He also was invited by then Acting Administrator Wheeler for an event during Children's Health Month. So I'm pleased with Mr. Kraft and is able to join us today to talk about the positive impact that this legislation is having on children's health in Wyoming and all across the country. One of the other benefits of this program is that it reduces emissions of greenhouse gases. Upgrading diesel engines reduces greenhouse gas emissions on both black carbon and carbon dioxide. Black carbon has a global warming potential that is thousands of times higher than carbon dioxide over a 20-year time frame. Through this program, we've reduced black carbon emissions by more than 11,000 tons and carbon dioxide by more than 5 million tons. This program is going after the gases that contribute to climate change. So I emphasize this point because of a false narrative out there that Republicans haven't put forth solutions to climate change. It's simply not true. This program is a great example of bipartisan policy that has reduced emissions now for over 10 years. Our Use It Act is another. That bill would support the build-out of both carbon capture and direct air capture projects. Importantly, it would support the infrastructure we need to move carbon dioxide from where it's captured to where it can be used for commercial purposes. That might mean injecting it into oil well or using it into making building materials or feeding it into greenhouses. In addition to those pending bills, I would also remind my colleagues about the Future Act. The Clean Air Task Force called that bill, which passed a year ago, one of the most important bills for reducing global warming pollution in the last 2 decades. Also note the successful bipartisan work this committee has done to promote advanced nuclear energy. I and many of my colleagues on this committee support these initiatives, and this committee will continue to lead on this important issue. When we work together, we can solve and we can show that we can promote American leadership, grow our economy, and lower our emissions.